looking at where we are specifically right now, so I didn't even really notice because we're so focused, of course, on our Pulse Chain ecosystem, but Bitcoin down below 61K now. So it's dangerously close to getting into the 50s again, which is something that we've thought was going to happen for some time. We saw it dip down there a few weeks back. I forget exactly when that was. And hey, we could even see more downside than that. And man, something we're going to talk about here, maybe even likely will in July for Bitcoin anyway, because we are getting news that the Mt. Gox coins are finally going to be deployed, which literally we talked about 2 years ago on this show, and it did not happen yet. But it seems like this time is for real, and it's a lot of Bitcoin. I think I'm sure you remember off the top of your head, like 140K Bitcoin or something, not 140,000 Bitcoin,
right?
Heading out to people. Many people obviously are going to figure to take profits. You know, if you don't know what Mt. Gox was, it was the Magic the Gathering exchange. I don't know how Magic the Gathering was totally involved with it back then, but it was basically the only place you could buy Bitcoin back in the day. And I'm talking, what, 12 years ago or whatever at this point, over a decade ago. So
yeah, it was at least 12 years ago. It was a Japanese exchange. So
yeah,
I'm not sure how it had anything to do with Magic either, but
no,
yeah,
it was called that.
yeah.
But yeah, tons of money basically that you figure these people are going to be wanting to take profit. So we see Bitcoin down here. We could see Bitcoin go down even further. ETH, holding the ratio that it gained on Bitcoin a little bit after the announcement of the ETF, which apparently the first one will go live here on July the 2nd. We have ETH just below 3,400 right now. So yeah, what do you make of it, Ewok? Let me get your total thoughts on where Bitcoin's at right now, the potential for much more downside for it specifically in July due to the Mt. Gox stuff. But everybody's going to assign the Mt. Gox thing to it, kind of like I just said. But we think that this ETH ratio is going to highly increase as it always had in past cycles. That may be the narrative that, Bitcoin maxis and well, if the Mt. Gox thing didn't happen, then ETH would be dead, or, something like that. But what do you make of all of this? Where Bitcoin goes over the next couple of months, how ETH can close the gap, the ETH ETF launching, all this stuff.
So there's a lot of rumors floating around regarding the Bitcoin returning of coins. I've heard that people are getting as little as $484 per Bitcoin that they had in the system at that point. They're not actually getting their Bitcoin back, which surprises me. Well, it doesn't surprise me because lawyers are all crooked for the most part. That's why they've delayed this whole thing for as long as they have, because they're continuing to get paid the whole time, right? So I heard that statistic the other day that, they said that $484, which was the value at that point when it got hacked. So if you had one Bitcoin, you're getting $484 back, which is a big slap in the face.
I think it's more than that, but yeah.
It's just a big, so I don't know how they're getting away with that. I'm not sure if that is completely accurate or not. If it is, then it's going to affect things very little, right? What are people going to do with $485? I mean, really. So if that's the case, it's not really going to affect much at all. If it's not the case, and which I can't think that, I have a feeling they would get a percentage of what they had in Bitcoin, because you're right, they did have like 140,000 of them sitting there. You would think people would get some of them back. If that happens, then I do see a lot of people exiting with profits very large. And you may end up getting at that point like a $45,000 Bitcoin. I think it could really go that low. Now, another thing, will they spread it out? Will they say, all right, A through D last names go now, and then another week we'll go here, and just break it up a little bit? I don't know how they'll do it. I didn't have Bitcoin back then, obviously, so I haven't been getting any of the letters or anything like that. So I'm just really not sure, but sounds pretty shady the way it's all going down. On the other hand, I think Richard made a tweet the other day that the government is liquidating a bunch of stuff that they have. They're holding, I forget, I think they hold 200 and some thousand Bitcoin from confiscations and things like that, where they liquidate theirs all the time. So yeah, the main thing right now though is the closing of the ratio for Ethereum. You've got that kind of bearish sentiment going on the Bitcoin side, but then you've got the bullish ETF almost approved. What we got 6, 7, 8, 9 days maybe.
Already approved, but actually launching. Yeah.
Right,
Yep.
9 days till launch, and I made the prediction. I thought it could run up to 4,000 by the beginning of July. So in anticipation of that. So I'm still expecting a run up, but we're just kind of holding here and not doing a whole lot. I thought it would go a little bit sooner. I thought it would start. Friday's a possibility. It's Friday's payday for a lot of people. I think there could be people aping in starting on the weekend, and again running up until I'll stand by the statement. But I think it's going to run up and take off, just like we saw Bitcoin do when its ETF got approved and launched, and it made that massive run. It only takes a few green candles in a row where people were like, all right, it's time. And people follow suit. That's kind of how these markets work. So yeah, it's going to get exciting. I hope they can reduce the ratio and pull it close at least, and then we can be on our way. But you mentioned it earlier, we could probably have another year until the bull actually is in full effect, where everything, that's the time of the cycle where you can throw a dartboard and anything that you hit pretty much will go up. So we're looking at 8 to 12 months probably before that happens. And then the pulse chain ecosystem could be delayed even further after that. So yeah, we've got some time. Gather some dry powder and start playing the markets if you haven't already. I assume most of the people that are watching have. But again, these are the times where things are ridiculously on sale. So take advantage of it.
Yes. And yeah, you can feel the tide changing. I mean, like, you can definitely feel the tide changing, I think, with ETH, altcoins versus Bitcoin. I mean, like, not only these two big pieces of news, obviously, but just you're seeing it subtly. I think it's some price action and different stuff. People are kind of gaining some confidence, I think, in alts. I mean, if ETH does start to run up now, or right into the supposed launch of this ETF, which I think that July 2nd date is still just a prediction that I saw. I don't think that's 100% official. I don't know why that wouldn't be known already by now, but I guess that in theory they can just kind of launch it whenever they want after they go over all the paperwork and stuff like that.
Right.
But yeah, you can feel the tide changing, and it's going to happen. I mean, ETH has just looked like shit against Bitcoin now for so long. And every time you see like the Benjamin Cohens and different people like that are Bitcoin maxis on Twitter, just calling for the end of ETH and altcoins are going to continue to bleed. I mean, like, it goes back to that thing that I say in the intro that we always make fun of. Like, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin is one thing, but I mean, like, not everybody's coming into this market just to like, oh yeah, I'll try. I want to have a Bitcoin. Wait a minute, it's $70,000 or $60,000. I'm not going to put that kind of money in. And they're not necessarily all looking for like Bored Ape, Yacht Club, Pepe lottery tickets. They're looking for, hey, I heard you can make a lot of money in this game and I want to see how. And Bitcoin, I mean, if you bought Bitcoin right now, if you're expecting anything more than a 3x at the end of this cycle, I think that you're delusional. I mean, I just, well, maybe that'd be 180 some K. I mean,
from here.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, Richard's talked about 240K before, so that's like a 4x. Yeah. But if you're expecting, 5, 10x's, I mean, no, that's just not going to happen. I mean, even I'd even Ethereum, I don't even know. I don't think it's going to 10x this cycle. So I mean, people that are really looking to come into this industry for a riskier play to really change their life, Bitcoin's just not going to do it.
Well, no, and Ethereum's not either. I mean, 10x for Ethereum is $33,000 Ethereum. Can you imagine what the gas prices would be?
Like, I can imagine where our pulse bags would be.
Well, I can too. I mean, I know there's a lot of people that would be pretty damn stoked about that because of the value that certain wallets hold. But yeah, I don't see a 10x. Maybe from the bottom, a 10x from Bitcoin. If you're taking that 15,000 and it does get to 150, that's a possibility. But you had to buy the bottom for that. As it stands right now, I don't think you're getting a 10x. It's not going to 500,000.
Yeah. No, I'm with you there. Really interesting tides though turning in the market here soon. I think I feel more bullish right now than I have for a while. Like, and that might be surprising maybe to some because pulse chain prices are, continuing to double bottom and basically at the lowest that they've been. But just sentiment wise, I'm just starting to feel things turning around here a little bit. So